My name is Caitlin and I'm 27 years old. I found out my entire future had been stolen from me on a Tuesday afternoon, sitting in a lawyer's office that smelled like old coffee and carpet cleaner, watching my mother's face go completely white. But let me back up because this story didn't start that day. It started the moment my sister Lauren was born and my parents decided without ever saying it out loud that she was the one worth investing in. Growing up, Lauren was everything. She was the honor student, the debate champion, the girl who announced at age 9 that she was going to be a doctor. And my parents looked at her like she had just cured cancer on the spot. I was good at things, too. I painted, I wrote, I got decent grades. But whenever I brought home something I was proud of, the response was always the same kind of distracted smile. The kind you give a child when you're really thinking about something else. Lauren's achievements got framed on the wall. Mine got left on the kitchen counter until they quietly disappeared. My grandmother, my father's mother, Eleanor, saw it. She never said anything directly, at least not to my parents, but she said things to me. She would hold my face in her hands and say, "You are not less, Caitlin. Don't you ever let them make you feel like you are less." I was 12 the first time she said that. I didn't fully understand what she meant. By the time I was 16, I understood completely. What I did not know, what nobody told me, was that my grandmother had set up a trust fund in my name when I was born. $890,000. Money she had saved over decades. Money from the sale of a property she owned before she even married my grandfather. She built that fund quietly, privately. And she designated it entirely for me. Not for Lauren, not for the family, for me, for my education, my future, my life. I never saw a single dollar of it. When I was 18, I wanted to go to art school. My parents told me we couldn't afford it. They suggested community college. They said I should be practical, that art wasn't a career, that I needed to think realistically about my future. I believed them. I was 18 and I trusted that my parents were telling me the truth. So, I went to the local state school, worked part-time jobs to pay my way through, graduated with a communications degree I chose because it felt safe, and spent the next several years building a modest, careful, ordinary life, always wondering why it felt like I was starting from nothing when other people my age seemed to have some kind of foundation beneath them. Meanwhile, Lauren went to a private university. Then she got into medical school, a very expensive medical school. And my parents paid for it without ever blinking, without ever once suggesting she take out loans or be practical or think realistically about money. I didn't ask where the money came from. I assumed they had savings I didn't know about. Families keep financial secrets all the time. I had no reason to question it. My grandmother got sick when I was 25. Pancreatic cancer, fast and brutal. She was gone within 4 months of the diagnosis, and in those last months, she was sharp until almost the very end. She knew exactly what she was doing when she called her attorney, updated certain documents, and wrote a letter in her own handwriting that she sealed and gave directly to her lawyer with specific instructions about when it was to be opened. She knew what my parents had done. She had known for years, and she had been waiting, patient, quiet, deliberate, to make sure that when she was gone, the truth would come out in a room where no one could lie their way out of it. That Tuesday afternoon in the lawyer's office, with the smell of old coffee in the air, was that room. The will reading itself was almost ordinary at first. We sat in a row of stiff chairs. Me, my parents, Lauren, who had flown in from her residency program, looking tired and vaguely irritated about having to be there. My father had his attorney with him, which I thought was strange at the time. I figured he was just being cautious, the way he always was with financial matters. I didn't realize then that he already knew what might be coming. He had been living with the possibility of this moment for years. The lawyer, a quiet man named Mr. Hartwell, went through the standard portions of the estate first. The house, a small investment account, some personal belongings. My mother was already calculating. I could see it in her posture, the slight lean forward, the hands folded just a little too tightly in her lap. Then Mr. Hartwell paused and said there was an additional matter. He explained that my grandmother had established a trust fund at my birth, funded entirely from her personal assets designated exclusively for my benefit. He stated the original value, $890,000. He then stated the current value, 0. My mother made a sound, not quite a scream, somewhere between a gasp and something higher pitched than that. My father went very still. Lauren looked confused, glancing between my parents and the lawyer like she was watching a conversation in a language she didn't quite speak. I sat there and felt the floor drop out from under me in slow motion. Mr. Hartwell continued very calmly, the way lawyers do when they are delivering information that will change the shape of a family permanently. He explained that the trust had been accessed beginning when I was 18 years old, that the withdrawals had occurred over a period of approximately 6 years, that the funds had been used, he paused here, reading carefully, for private university tuition, medical school tuition, living expenses, and associated costs for Lauren Marie Gallagher, my sister's full name, in a legal document connected to my money. My father called his attorney over immediately. There was whispering. My mother had stopped making sounds and gone completely rigid. Lauren had figured out enough of what was happening. That she had pushed her chair back slightly from the table like she was trying to physically distance herself from what was being said. Then Mr. Hartwell said there was one more item. He said, my grandmother had left a letter written in her own hand with instructions that it be read aloud in its entirety at this meeting in the presence of all parties. He read it. I'm not going to repeat every word of it here because some of it was personal things she said to me, things she wanted me to hear that felt too private to share completely. But I will tell you what she said to my parents. She said she had discovered what they had done when I was 20 years old. And Lauren was beginning her second year of medical school. She had confronted my father privately. He had not denied it. He explained it the way he always explained things, calmly, logically, with reasons that sounded almost reasonable if you didn't think too hard about what was actually underneath them. He said Lauren needed it more. He said my future was flexible. He said he would make it right eventually. My grandmother wrote that she had decided not to go to the courts immediately because she believed my father when he said he would make it right. She waited, she watched. He never did. So, she made it right herself. The letter explained that she had restructured her remaining estate specifically to account for what had been taken from me. Everything she had left, the house, the investment account, the personal assets, she had left entirely to me. Not split, not shared, everything. She had also, the letter noted, filed a detailed report with her attorney documenting the full history of the trust withdrawals with the instruction that this report be made available to me to pursue legal remedy if I chose to do so. Dad sat down halfway through the letter. By the end of it, he had his hands over his face, and when Mr. After Her Heart finished reading, the room was completely silent, and my father said very quietly, just above a whisper, she found out like he had been waiting for it, like some part of him had always known this day would come. I looked at him sitting there, and I felt something shift inside me. Not rage exactly, something quieter and more permanent than rage. I thought about every community college brochure, every time I was told to be practical. Every year I spent building a careful small life while believing I simply hadn't been given what Lauren had been given, not knowing I had been given something and it had been taken. I have since spoken with my own attorney. The process is ongoing. Lauren has stated she didn't know where the money came from and I believe her. That part at least I believe. My parents have offered explanations, then apologies, then more explanations. I have listened to all of it. But I keep coming back to my grandmother's hands holding my face. You are not less, Caitlin. She knew even then what she was going to do. She was already protecting me. Some people wait their whole lives for someone to believe in them that completely. I had that. I just didn't know it until the very end. And somehow knowing it now is enough to stand on. This story isn't finished, but for the first time in a long time, it finally feels like it's mine. If this story stayed with you, if it made you feel seen or angry or understood, please subscribe to this channel. Every week, we bring you real stories about real people, navigating family, betrayal, and the long road back to yourself. Hit the subscribe button and the bell so you never miss one.